Well, welcome everybody to our Horror Melee podcast. For this episode, I, Stephanie, am hosting, and I'm very excited. With us today, we've got Josh, and we've got Holly coming in from Chicago, and we've got Patrick, who's chilling in his hangout in Dallas.
Down the street.
Yeah, Levon laying right next to me.
Nice.
Levon!
So
he was.
So for this episode, I chose Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's not the holidays. It's pretty close to the end of the holidays, but Silent Night, Deadly Night is one of my favorite scary movies for a variety of reasons. It's pretty ridiculous.
It's because she likes Christmas.
I do like Christmas. I mean, who doesn't like getting cozy under blankets and a fireplace and spending
and e-cards. Don't forget the e-cards.
And e-cards?
And e-cards. All the e-cards from Aunt Rosie. I can't wait to talk about this. This is one of the movies that I have so many questions. I want to dive deep into the psyche of this movie. So this movie is probably one of the most notorious movies. In the 80s, when it came out, it made headlines. The PTA parents were protesting it. It was pulled from theaters, even though it ended up grossing more than A Nightmare on Elm Street.
It actually released on the same day as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes, that too. Yes. I'm really bad with details and topics like that, and unless I read a script.
Okay, so this movie has a lot of things going on, and so it is a really good movie to talk about. Who here has not seen this movie before? I think we all have.
Yeah, we all have seen this movie.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
I like that awkward pause. Are you going to say something?
Is anyone, before we continue, is anyone else hearing an echo?
I am not. It might be, are you on your headphones?
It's coming and going between, I can hear myself, and then sometimes with you, Josh.
Ooh. Maybe I just got that latency feel where I just want to keep talking.
Well, so Silent Night, Deadly Night, I watched this awesome 9-minute clip on Good Bad Flicks. If anyone's listening to this podcast, definitely recommend.
And we'll post that with the actual podcast too.
Yeah, definitely recommend checking it out. So, I tried, because I never really thought about this movie beyond what it was and my own personal, thoughts on it. But once you go into the internet and start finding more, you'll try to get more details and how did this movie come about? I started finding more about the director. So the director of this movie, Charles Selye Jr., he created Grizzly Adams, and he was actually a very religious person. And this movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night, was hated on because it does touch upon Catholicism and Santa Claus. And I was thinking, how in the world could this person who is extremely religious direct a movie that kind of hates on, kind of makes Catholicism the bad guy, But then I come to find out that, the process of making films, I don't know how he got involved, but he got involved, and he actually hated all the kill scenes. So another person had to do those. So I think it's interesting that you have kind of these different scenes and then these classic 80s slasher kill scenes in the movie. There's so many layers of this movie. What I want to open it up to people is, well, first and foremost, how I heard about this movie back in the day. Obviously, since this isn't the first time we're watching it. A bunch of my friends in the 8th grade came upon a copy of Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, and that's the classic garbage day and the laughing and come on, that's a classic scene. I mean, that tone right there is my like text message notification tone. You know, people know me by like garbage day. So how did you guys find out about this Silent Night Deadly Night? Like, what was the first time you watched this movie?
Ooh, man, I think I just started 10th grade, and so I was in high school, and I had a very good friend who is a huge movie buff. I mean, loves zombie movies. And he came over like a few days before Christmas, like, oh, I have the best Christmas movies to show you. And he showed me Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas.
Oh,
And then we
double
watched
combo.
The Exorcist.
Wait,
So,
which one
not
did
a
you watch
Christmas
first?
movie, but
Palate
still good.
cleanser.
Yeah.
Wait, which is the palate cleanser? Black Christmas?
Or Exorcist, either one.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so I think I was in 10th grade, so I mean I was just starting high school.
Holly?
I don't know how old I was, but I remember having a book. It must have been like the novelization of the movie. And I remember like, you know, the poster cover with, you know, Santa's arm with the axe. That was the cover of the book. And I read it, and then on it, it said, you know, from the movie. And so I really don't know how old I was, because it's kind of been like, it was weird. Like, I read the book first, and so it's always like been in my life, and I'm not sure like when I saw the movie, because it's one of those things where I was too young to watch it. But when I was older, it's like, oh yeah, I remember having this book, and so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I should watch this movie. So probably, I don't know, maybe around my like 14, 15, I finally saw the movie.
Wait, so there's a book?
Yes.
Yes, I don't know how I had, like, why my parents allowed me to have this.
So the original story is by Paul
Kimi.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's his story.
But it's a
and
lot
then
different.
someone else took it and put it into a script. I don't know the guy's name. I have to look up.
Yeah, the
Michael
original
something.
is called Sleigh Ride.
Yeah. And so I didn't know it was a book. I imagined it being like a short story or something like that. That's interesting.
Oh.
I did not know that.
Do you still have that copy?
Yes, Holly, please tell me you still have the book.
No.
What?
I wish I did. I know.
Oh man.
Wow.
Now
It's
I
one of those
really
things that, yeah, I wish I would have held on to it.
now I really want to like buy that book. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Josh.
I mean, a lot of you're gonna find a common theme with me. So I used to go to my cousin's house a lot, and my family was very, very anti a lot of things. And so I used to watch most of my movies there. I think I was either 14 or 13 when I saw that. I don't quite remember. I just remember that I was not supposed to be watching that movie, and it was And
That's so funny.
And I
That's
don't
so funny
even
you
remember
say that.
Huh?
That's so funny you say that, because I remember watching that movie and my mother coming in and just being so disgusted and upset with me for watching it.
Man, if my mom would have came in, oh my god, that would have been interesting. No, my mom just didn't like. My mom's never probably even seen a horror movie, to be honest. So I do understand that, but I remember like, because I rewatched it later on, years later, and then watching it again. Even more years later, I'm like, wow, I didn't really get the full effect, because I don't remember being, scared or anything like that. I was just like, oh, okay, Santa, he's a killer. That makes a lot of sense, Come on now. He sneaks into people's houses. Come on. Why wouldn't he be a killer?
Yeah, everybody trusts Santa.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
he's
that's
a nice guy.
Yeah, and that's
Unless you're Billy, then you don't trust Santa.
Billy did not trust Santa.
Well, so here's so one thing that I loved about this movie is in so many scary movies you get to know the victims, and then all of a sudden the scary person is just kind of coming after them, and then maybe towards the end you have like the reveal of how the killer came to be. But this movie shows you the killer, you know, from the very beginning, and how this person came to be a serial killer.
So it just shows you the progression of what it took for him to snap, basically.
Yeah, and I find this to be like a realistic situation. Like, honestly, this is how serial killers happen. They have an extreme emotional trauma. It's not handled correctly at all. You know, enter Mother Superior, who's like, you're going to pray this away and you're just going to pretend it never happened. But as a child and having emotions, like, you can't, that doesn't work, obvi. So, you know, this poor kid, just isn't taught how to deal with it. And anytime those emotions come up, he's taught that if he acts out, he's going to be punished, you know, until, you know, he has that mental breakdown. And, you know, the bad guy in the very beginning, you know, the bad guy was the first Santa. And then, you know, it's Mother Superior. It's just, I mean, I think it's what I found so interesting was, you have this movie that's notoriously absurd and ridiculous and everybody hates on it. And I'm like, actually, this is a very serious movie, you know, like people can learn from this movie about emotional trauma and not dealing with that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from on that, because, yeah, I think they do a good job of the emotional trauma, but his triggering point where he actually becomes the killer is just so funny. I mean, they could have done it. I mean, I think they did it in a perfect way for the actual movie, but once you get to that point, you know, I think it kind of loses that credibility of taking it serious.
Yeah, I mean, you're never supposed to. Yeah, I mean, I understand, like, this is a serious movie, but like, yeah, I mean, it does have the veil of an 80s slasher on it as well. So you're not really supposed to take it seriously.
And what was it?
Well,
you know, as soon as Billy snapped, he only knew 2 words: punish and naughty. Did
Yes.
anyone else notice that?
I'm just gonna walk around telling people, punish, naughty. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna
Like,
do. See what happens.
He was like the Incredible Hulk. Every time he killed someone, punish.
Naughty.
Yes. I mean,
love it.
also,
Yeah,
don't forget
I did
that Billy got drunk for the first time and saw some dude
Whoa,
macking
whoa,
on
whoa.
his crush. Honestly, I know I've been that
Yeah, but
drunk
then
where I saw that
what else
happen,
to do?
and I guarantee
He
you,
snaps his crush right between the boobs.
yes, yes.
Well, that was
I guarantee that
that's a
I pretty
intense
much-
scene though. I feel like I think that at that point, like, he was just like, screw everybody. I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah.
That was pretty. That was
Okay.
intense.
Before we move on, you know the scene where the girl and the guy are making out on the pool table, and then
Yes.
she goes to let her cat in? Why did she just open the front door, you know, topless?
Thank you. I agree.
I think everybody said that.
I'm like, first off, it's like, you know, 15 degrees outside. It's Christmas Eve, you know, people could be outside, and you're just, you know,
Well,
there
hang on.
are
just, hey, cat.
Wait,
there are carolers across the street.
I always open the door topless. I mean, come on. I think we both said that when we saw that. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. That is kind of weird. Huh. There's a
first
lot
thing
of
I'd be doing is putting on a sweater.
yeah. There's a lot of weirdness going on. I think the hardest part for this movie for me is they show this trauma. They send him to, you know, a kid's like what was
Catholic
it?
orphanage.
A Catholic orphanage. And then there's this nun that likes him, right? And then she's like, I really like him. He's actually a man. You should give him a job. And then there's like this breaks off that I just cannot get over. And every single time, like, I see it, I'm like, what the?
On the
what is
wrong
this?
side of the door.
Like we went from like it's just so odd to me, and I like it. It's actually really, really well done. I mean, there's nothing better than
That is that one scene that sticks out pretty really in that movie.
It's like, you know, if you're going for training to work there, that's the video you want.
It's the training video for this toy store. Yes.
Don't drink during lunch hour. Make sure you get your carton of milk.
That is so true.
Oh,
I mean, and there's weird scenes in there too. You see him like, I don't know. There's just some. It's a weird scene for me. I like it though.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean the nun who was the nun who knew what was up and knew exactly like how to handle him, and she's like, Mother Superior, see, he's not over this. He needs help. She literally buttons up the whole movie when she's in the police, talking to the police officer or the detective, and the detective's like, kid may be nuts, but he's not stupid. And she says, in fact, everything he's been doing has kind of a logic to it once you understand what he's gone through. Not gonna lie, but in life, sometimes I wish people could see like the backstory so I could be like, see, once you understand what I've gone through, everything, any kind of crazy moment I have kind of has a logic to it.
yeah, but going around killing people.
Yeah, that's a little extreme. I mean, you're talking like real life
Yeah,
stuff.
and then at the end, she just like coddles him and is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you have to die."
I just wish you like,
Because she
Billy.
sympathized with him, she was like, we did this to you. You were this very nice little boy, and we pushed your terrible trauma down. And anytime you were lashing out, quote unquote, where you drew a picture because that's how you were expressing yourself and that's how you getting this emotional trauma out, we punished you, So obviously he's going to have a mental breakdown, and put him in a Santa costume. Bada bing, baba dook. There you go.
Look, he had 2 words.
He's he's
I
taking girls
do.
and putting them on deer horns.
Well, like I said, there's a
Yeah,
veil of the 80s.
it's going to an extreme, but I do. Yeah, I see him as a sympathetic character too, because horrible trauma, and somebody was in his corner trying to fight for him, and it was just blown off. And
So
then we get the fun of the killing in the middle, but by the end, it's like, oh, I feel sorry for him. Like he had somebody there who could have helped him through this.
and what would you have done different?
I don't know, like be more proactive and insistent that this kid needs some kind of professional help. I mean, it's when he's drawing pictures of Santa killing people, and that's how his parents died. Like, that kid needs a little extra attention.
Yeah, not a spanking.
That's true.
Although, I mean, I did spend 18 years in Catholic education, and that's pretty much how they dealt with things.
Yeah.
I've got 0 experience.
I had
so
about 2 years in Catholic school.
and I still got spanked. So I don't know. There's a common denominator in all of this.
Can we please talk about the grandpa, which is not only my favorite scene, but it's Quentin Tarantino's favorite scene as well.
And Robert Rodriguez.
And I would have loved to have seen them reenact it. Reenact that scene.
There's a video of it online.
Does anyone else think that Grandpa looks like Sean Connery?
Yes,
Poor man Sean Connery.
Yeah, the poor man Sean Connery.
You better run, kid! Run for your life!
I'm not gonna lie. When I get old, I might be like that. I might tell kids really messed up stuff.
Oh, I'm going to show them every scene of Santa killing someone and be like, this is what happens if you're bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really weird scene. I think I still don't understand it. It makes no sense, actually.
Yeah, I guess, to the story, it doesn't, because it kind of scared the little kid, but honestly, it wasn't really necessary. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm so glad
I think
it's
it
in
sets
there.
the whole tone for the film.
It does set the tone, but it doesn't, I mean, the kid was already scared of Santa Claus, and he was going to be scared of Santa Claus because he, like, murdered his parents. you know.
I mean, just how absurd it is the grandpa only talking to the kid, and saying what he says, and the kid being so scared. I mean, to me, it's like the perfect setup for what's about to play out.
He's just like, I'm gonna fuck this kid's world up.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were there for 5 minutes. Why did they go in the first
Yeah.
place?
That's my
I
question.
don't know.
Hours
Like, they
time
had
there, they're like, oh, this crazy fool.
they had a meeting with
Well,
the
he's not talking.
they had a meeting. They had to go sign some papers or something, you know? This was the 70s, all right? They didn't have like fax machines and stuff.
Look,
Maybe they did.
the main question throughout this whole thing is, where did that killer go? Because nobody focuses on when that guy went. He just like kills and gets away, and here we go.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, what happened to him?
He did his killing, his raping, and he just disappeared.
Do you think he got
Went under the
caught?
radar and just left.
And I need to watch the 5 sequels. I think I'm going to see 1 through 3.
Oh, he's got to make an appearance in one of the.
He's got to make an appearance. Yeah, that I don't know. Have you seen?
Yeah, if Billy comes back and makes an appearance, he has to.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen any of the others, Holly?
I've seen 2. I haven't seen any further than that.
Yeah.
I got on a binge and watched 1 through 3, so I was like, okay. That 3 was like, oof, okay.
like Leprechaun in Space, just can't get through it.
I'm totally down for Leprechaun in Space.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've been waiting to watch that movie.
Check out all the Leprechauns. They're all
Yeah, they're journeys.
yeah.
Long journeys? Do I need a pack of lunch?
A pack of 40 or 2.
And a bottle of Allure.
Yeah. Speaking of Billy, I thought he was so good, adult Billy, because his facial expressions when he, first of all, puts on that Santa outfit, and you could see his mind just unwrapping and totally going down into a spiral. And then another one of my favorite scenes is when he's got the little girl in his lap. He's like, "Stop moving. Are you being naughty?" You know, like Santa doesn't bring gifts to little kids who are naughty. And then even the parents are like, "Oh, he's so good with kids."
I wouldn't want him to touch my kids.
No.
I mean, he sounds so creepy.
Hey, I'm pretty good with not bringing Victor to Santa.
Wait, did Victor get to meet Santa this year?
No, he met Krampus though.
Even better. Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, I was just in that phase of like not believing in Santa. Like I just started not believing in Santa, and I had a neighbor, and we had all these younger kids with us. And he takes us in the room. And he's like, "Okay, guys, I want to show you this video of Santa. I'm so sorry. He flew over a war zone, and he's been killed." And he just showed us a video of his sleigh exploding.
That is awesome. That's pretty great, actually. Huh.
That's how I stopped believing in Santa.
See, I'm super jealous of all of you guys because everybody here got to do Christmas, and we did Hanukkah. And Hanukkah Harry does not make appearances. You know, as much as Saturday Night Live tells you that, he does not make appearances.
But you're safe from Billy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The guy that played Billy, or older Billy, his name is Robert Brian Wilson. It's like 3 first names.
They couldn't decide. Wait, give him another first name. Give him another first name.
He has not done a lot.
Well, after the backlash of this movie, and like, I mean, you had protesters. You know, the TriStar Pictures dropped the movie, and the producer or somebody had to go find somehow else to distribute it, and distribute it only on tape. The actor who portrayed adult Billy, you know, he felt embarrassed, and he was like, "Oh, that was a really bad idea." I mean, it's not until recently that he's kind of come around after like such a cult following of this movie. So it's yeah. I mean, even like Roger and Ebert, Roger, whatever their names are, Siskel and Ebert,
Roger, it's Roger Ebert.
whatever.
I hope that they hear that we butchered their names.
Whatever. They
Well,
literally like
it's one guy and he's dead.
they had such a scathing review of this movie, and they repeated the names of like the director, the producer, the writer, so that people would like harass them. And they wait, I wrote it down here. They said your profits truly are blood money.
Wow.
Yeah, they said,
that's a little. I find that a little extreme.
that is so extreme and unnecessary.
1984. I mean,
Well,
before that, you had other horror movies come out that were way bloodier. I mean, way more graphic than this movie.
Well,
so,
I
for
think
them to come out and say that, I think it's a little extreme.
well, hang on. The reason was number one, you had the factor that it was 80s, and obviously a little bit more conservative. Number one. Number two, they were talking about taking an article or like a person. They're talking about Santa and kind of desecrating it and making it into like a killer. And I think people were like, no, because that's bad. Because all these kids like Santa, and we don't want them to be afraid.
But Black Christmas came out in 1974, and it may not have Santa in it. It still has the Christmas theme, and it's still a gory. It's still a horror.
But I think it was
there
because
were other Killer Santa movies before this movie.
Yeah,
and because it
so
got popular
to
too.
Single out this movie, I feel like something else had to be in play.
Yeah, well, they were advertising this movie in commercials in between like House on the Prairie,
and that's
so little kids.
Good night, Billie Jean. Good night, Georgie.
So little kids who didn't want to watch the movie, it's the whole like, creative freedom, and if it's, it's one thing. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have advertised it as much, but or they maybe should have been a little more classy about their advertising, but they weren't. And little kids saw this, and instead of the parents having a conversation with the kid, the parents are like, this has to go away. I can't have a conversation with my kid, but instead I want to put him in a bubble so that I don't have to deal with it, And that's why everything just kind of exploded. And yes, I agree. It was the 80s. It was conservative. I mean, this was like Tippy Gore's era of like,
well, some people see
rating like CDs and stuff.
Well,
and
some people see Saint Nicholas he's a saint for one, and so I think that a lot of it has to do with like just don't mess with anything sacred. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I just think out of all the movies and Christmas horror movies that have come out, even before them, like maybe they were attacked because of their marketing, scheme. They're just like, playing it in front of the Super Bowl and in front of children. So
I wonder. So that tipping point I think was like after 95, to where like I think you could actually show a little bit more because media kind of changed. And maybe not even 95, maybe a little bit further out. Because like I feel like if you would show this right now, people would be like, "Oh my god, this is great," and that's.
Oh yeah, I mean, the effects in this, and compared to what people see these days, this is nothing.
I mean, I feel like in my opinion, I think the 70s showed a lot more than the 80s did. Maybe because they did go to that conservative kind of way in the 80s with
the 70s,
Reagan and whatnot.
The 70s was based off of like gore. I feel gore sex, because a lot of horror movies, when you go back and you watch that, they're very hard to watch. Some are really good,
yeah.
but some of them like you're like, whoa, that line all of a sudden got really rapey. And very pornographic in a lot of ways.
Like Deliverance?
Yes. Yeah. That line is very blurred. And I think in the 80s, they kind of like, they cleaned it up. And the biggest thing in the 80s that I think the trend is, and don't quote me on this, but is more slashers, because that's how they kind of define that. Because you kind of go back and you watch like 70s films and you're like, okay, this is good, this is scary, this is kind of scary, but this is also kind of in between a snuff film, like a pornographic film, or just I don't know.
Excuse me.
It's got a weird feeling to some of it.
Yeah.
Some of the letters that the parents wrote, they're on the DVD, and I have a couple pulled up.
Ooh.
Two of them kind of, these are the ones that kind of stuck out to me in terms of what we were talking about. The first one said, "There aren't too many symbols left for kids. Santa is a peace-giving symbol, and he's being destroyed. They're turning him into a homicidal maniac."
Oh, man.
The other one said,
So there aren't.
"It's an invasion." What?
So there aren't many symbols for kids.
Mhm.
So like, what symbols are for kids? Like the Easter Bunny? Are these like holiday symbols?
I guess.
Well,
Yeah. Well, this other one says it's an invasion of children's dreams and fantasies. It's a form of child abuse.
Yes, I heard that one. Yeah, literally like child abuse.
that's
Yeah.
kind of extreme though.
It's totally extreme.
Yeah, I mean, because like, especially at this time, like, what kid is going to be able to go out and see this movie if it's been pulled out of theaters? I mean, you would have to have the VHS copy to see it, and to get into the theater too. Like, maybe some kids, but I still don't even think it would mess them up that much.
Again,
And
like
I have pictures too of like people protesting like outside theaters, and
Oh, wow.
there's this tiny little child who should be watching Disney movies with this picket signs and says "We love Santa."
Yeah, so who's really doing the worst for their kids?
Right?
so the parents. It's the parents again. Like
Yeah,
the parents should have that conversation with the kid.
absolutely.
And or don't bring your kid to the movie. Like
What? I'd bring
And
all my kids to
actually, this past holiday season, like I was just drawing and I was watching a movie while in my room, and it was on my laptop, and I was watching Silent Night, Deadly Night. And Victor came in, and it was just, nothing was going on really. And Billy was in the Santa suit, but I think it was like when he just put it on. And then Victor came back in the room when he was about to kill somebody. And I was like, okay, now I pause and I wait for him to leave.
yeah,
It's called responsible parenting.
yes.
One thing I do think they could have cut back on, maybe to stop some parents from freaking out, was every time he killed a girl in the movie, it was always like through the chest, and they just zoomed in on the boobs every time.
Yeah.
Every girl they killed in that movie.
And I read a bunch of people talking about this, and every single one of them was raving about the girl's boobs, and I'm like, okay, that's like the most inefficient way to kill somebody. What?
Yeah, like
I don't know if I
the
really
first
care about
girl
that.
the first girl, he essentially saves her from being raped,
Yeah.
and then she turns on him, and he just takes a knife and goes like straight down the middle of the chest bone.
But I mean, see, for me, I want to see like for instance, like when he killed that guy, he killed him with Christmas lights. I'm like, where's the candy cane kill?
Yeah.
Why didn't he kill
hold
somebody
on.
with
How
an
did he
elf?
get superhuman strength? He literally lifts that guy up with one hand around
He was strong.
I mean,
the Christmas lights, and then just picks up that one girl and just like shoves her body through antlers.
It's a Christmas miracle.
The best Christmas miracle.
Yes.
I mean, did you guys miss the elevator scene when Sister Mary or whatever, the woke sister, was like,
gang.
get oh, I have a nice boy for a job for you, and he's like, well, I don't know, it's not a job for a kid, and she's like, well, here's Billy now, take a look, why don't you meet him? And it's like boo 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 boo, like from the legs up, like a Schmidt's gay commercial, like, ooh, give me some of that.
Well, we all know what she was
Yeah,
doing.
and his sleeves are rolled up, and he's buff.
Yeah, he's like all oily and like, hey, I'm like 16.
I wish I was all oily.
Yeah.
We'll
Light as
oil you
brown.
up, Josh, and get you a job at a toy store.
I'll be okay
Yeah.
with that. I'll be okay with that. All right, so come on, guys. Like, what is like the weirdest scene that? What are you like?
I have the best scene.
Okay.
I know the best scene. So in the movie, there's a scene where these two bullies steal a sleigh from two other kids. And after he steals the sleigh, he has this one kid go down, take the sleigh and go down first. And, right before he leaves, kid looks at him and says, "What if I hit a tree?" And he's just like, "Oh, you won't." So he goes down. And as he's going down, the kids are like, "Woohoo!" And it cuts back to the main bully. And it's like zoomed in on his face. And he just goes, "Ha ha ha. Ha, woo!" And that's the best part of the movie right there.
Wait,
Just
this-
the funniest. Yes, it's the best part of the movie right there.
It's
I've rewound that part probably 10 times and watched it. It's so funny.
I
It
think
literally brings the movie up 2 points for me.
I always thought the scene where the transition after Billy's parents were murdered, and then you have the
Oh,
baby
yeah.
crying, and the guy who's like, "Where are you, kid?" Literally, the kid is literally in the ditch. Like, you can see the kid. He's like, "Where are you, kid? Where are you?" And like after, I guess he like runs away or whatever, you have this sweet gospel song that's like, "Sweet little baby." Like I could see people clapping and singing this, and it's like showing you the murder scenes, like the mom, her open bare chest, the baby's crying, the dad. You just see this awful scene with this like nice heartwarming song in the background. It always gave me a little chuckle because I'm like, that doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
I do. Yeah, I like those juxtapositions of like, especially when there's music. There's like some kind of music involved with that, and it's just offsets the creepiness of what you're looking at.
Yeah, and the baby's like crying and screaming in the background of it. It's pretty it's probably one of the best transitions in the movie, if not the best. And also the best song.
I think.
I always like this. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, good. No, it's all you.
I was gonna say I always like the scene when he kills the two that are babysitting the little girl, and then she must be the heaviest sleeper in the world. First of all. And then I love when Billy gives her the utility knife.
Oh,
That always cracks me up.
that's
It's like
funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I was watching that scene and he's in there playing pool. I'm like, how did he not hear her screaming, getting murdered? And then I'm like,
breaking things.
where's the sister at? The cat's the only one that really cares.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could tell Billy when he was like, "Are you sure you're not naughty? Have you been good?" She's like, yeah. And I'm, good thing she stuck to her guns.
It's like something from The Nightmare Before Christmas. Here you go, a bloody knife.
And now you're the killer.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it. I have a couple of thoughts on like scenes, and one of them is probably fast forward more towards the end, but when he's like walking up to the kids and the kids are running towards him because he's Santa, I think that's an interesting shot. I like the way that's done, because I mean, granted, kids probably would do that. It's kind of messed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's great. You're talking about the scene where
He's in the
kid
orphanage.
lets Billy in to the orphanage, and they all start running up, and he's got the axe behind him. That scene.
Well, before that, the one that gets killed, I think it's really odd. And then and then also going into the house, yeah, I guess that would happen. That would totally happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very classic scary movie moment because you have the like, oh my gosh, he's right there, like he's holding on to these kids. Like, what is he going to do? That suspense of like, the killer is here in the, holding on to these kids.
It's funny. It's funny you brought up that scene. Like all the kids, you would run up and do that. When we were younger, my little brother was so terrified of Santa Claus.
JD was wait. JD was afraid.
My JP, yeah, and
JP, sorry.
my little brother now is a bodybuilder, so he's the big guy. But when we were kids, my sister and I would have to sleep next to him because he was so scared of Santa Claus.
Holy cow!
So we'd sandwich him in.
Look, we don't want any Christmas murders. Sandwich him.
Yeah.
You guys die first. Protect me.
I think the best thing about this is there's a bunch of killing and just this craziness with Christmas music. Because Christmas music is so happy. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think the person who did the music actually wrote like original Christmas songs for this movie.
Yeah, the music was actually one of the best parts of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like also, can we please talk about at 7:00 when the Ira, I'm just gonna call him Ira of Ira's Toys, was like, let's get shit-faced, and they have like a party ready to go in this little kid's toy store.
Yeah, I would hope to do the same if I owned a toy store.
Yeah. Also,
We were dealing with kids all day.
how come? I mean, I know he's like, I heard something. Another classic scary movie moment. Like, hey, did you hear that? No, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, from watching all these scary movies, one thing I've learned is if I hear like a sound like that in my house,
Yeah.
and it's like to the point of so spooky where I'm like, no, I'm leaving. I'm not going to go investigate.
Oh no.
I'm not going to go stick
yeah.
around and go to sleep. No. But, if it doesn't spook me that much, I'll probably go investigate, and then I'll probably be the first one dead.
There have been several times where I've done that. Oh, what was that? Let me go check it out. And as I'm walking there, I'm like, nope, this is a bad idea.
Wait, do you send Alan?
No.
Do you at least grab a weapon?
Wait,
Yeah.
I do.
Alan is kind of like a
I do
weapon.
grab a
He's
weapon
pretty
as well.
badass. He's the man.
It's actually great having a dog because he goes out and investigates first. Now, it's sad that he'd probably be the first one to go, but, at least he's got my back.
No, no offense, but I'm sure Levon would be like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's true. He'd probably leave before I did. He'd be in the car being like, come on.
Also a good segue is, you have like the one lady in the toy store. She has the axe. She gets to the exit. She's like, wait, which glass do I break? Do I break the door or do I break the window? I mean, I feel like, granted, I'm the kind of person who would have that same conundrum. I'd be like, wait, honestly though, if I feel like there's a serial killer, I am going straight and I'm breaking everything in my path.
See, once again, I've watched so many scary movies. My instinct would be, I have the weapon. I got to kill this thing now, or I'm gonna end up dead.
He has superhuman strength, so that's not going to happen. I
don't know. You hit him in the neck once, even in the leg. I'm doing some damage you can get away from.
Wait, hang on. How would you kill him again?
I probably want to kill him. I'd probably hit him as hard as I could in like the leg, just so I could get away.
What about you, Holly?
But,
I wouldn't trust myself to be grounded enough to try and attack. So I would try and get away, but if I did get some kind of hit in and he were down, I would just shove whatever I could through his brain. Because,
yes.
when you knock them down, they're going to come get you anyway.
They
so
always
just
come
get it
back.
over with. Yeah.
That's why I would aim for that left leg. Hopefully hit that artery and just get out.
That's a good answer. I would use a candy cane because that's the only thing this movie is lacking. A large candy cane just makes so much sense.
I really thought he was going to kill that little girl with the candy cane when he pulled it out and gave it to her. Didn't happen.
Right in the back.
I'd be like, you've been candy caned.
Yeah, I feel like even if I tried to get an axe and try to swing it at somebody, I would totally miss, and the axe would hit the ground, and I'd be dead in 2 seconds. So I am beelining it and running as far away as I can.
So you would just run away from him?
Look, I can't even do a push-up. How am I supposed to swing an axe and have accurate, and hit anything without someone just taking the axe out of my hand?
Amazing things.
So,
Just
I mean, he obviously competes in the Kill Olympics, He prepares for every kill.
Ooh.
So
How
that's
many
the way
body
I
parts
believe
can you
every
bench?
killer is.
All right. If he was in the Kill Olympics, what would be his gold-winning category?
The javelin throw.
I mean,
archery. He picked up. I've never seen him use a bow before. And I was like, "Whoa! I'm gonna hit you right in the perfect spot in the spinal cord."
Patrick, you took the words right out of my mouth. I agree. Archery, he'd be like bullseye.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
First off, he used a toy bow and he still killed a woman, nailing the perfect spot in the spinal cord.
All right.
I don't know.
So would he take gold, bronze, or silver?
Well, who's his competition?
Katniss Everdeen.
She's not.
Hang on. We got a third, and Rambo.
Rambo wins. I mean, it's Rambo.
I mean, yeah, it's Rambo.
All right, we'll go with that.
Only if it's Rambo First Blood, and at the end he's crying. while he's doing it.
I love that you point that out.
I believe it's First Blood, where at the end he's crying and it's like the only lines he has to say in the movie. You can't understand him because he's crying.
Oh, Rambo.
Obviously, the most classic end of a scary movie, the legend lives on, I love the end where, yes, and, he's lying dead and he's like, you're all safe now because Santa's gone, Santa's dead. And then you have Ricky, his younger brother, look at the whole situation. Obviously Ricky has no idea what's going on, does not remember. I mean, he was a baby. All he knows is my older brother dressed up as Santa Claus and people killed him. What the heck? So naturally, Ricky, looks up and in an evil, confused look. And then all of a sudden he's like, no. He's like, naughty. And then Ricky, obviously, we all know what happens in part 2.
So, 2 parts of that scene I wish I would have changed. I would have killed the shit out of Mother Superior. She deserved it. And I want to, I like the idea of Ricky, saying naughty, but I wish he said something different than naughty.
But it's a very consistent, theme of the movie.
Look, I think you guys got it all misconstrued. She was a nice lady. Mother Superior was superior. She just was a misunderstood nun. Is she a nun, or actually, what is she?
A nun.
Oh, yeah.
Nun. She is the main nun. She's Mother Superior.
Yeah, I mean, with a name like that, if somebody called me Josh Superior, I'd be like, whoa. This is great.
First, I don't know. I just hate nuns. I don't hate all of them.
Like none of this or none of that?
So when I was 13, I went to Mexico with my father, and it was my grandmother's aunt's 91st birthday, and she's a nun. So we stayed with all the nuns on their convent, and
wait,
what a weird experience.
Is this like what is that? Like something of the blue iguana? That weird story of the nun and the blue iguana?
I don't know.
I've actually never ever met a nun in real life, so I'd love to meet one.
I had a headache, and they made me sit in a pure white room, and they called it the angel room, and it was the only way that my headache would go away. It was very strange.
That would have made mine worse.
Yeah, I got really nervous. My anxiety got real bad. I was like, no.
Wait, but so that wow, okay.
My aunt used to be a nun.
Oh, really? Is she not a nun no
Well,
more?
no, I don't remember when she left, but she,
You can leave?
Yeah, I
yeah,
d- I- I would
she
think
left
trying to
because,
leave. They would try to kill her. Like, I feel like that's just so secret.
Mother Superior would be like, "You're not."
she got married after that and everything, but she left because she didn't like the politics of the church and the way things were changing, so she decided to leave.
Interesting.
Hey, at least she wasn't.
The nuns I stayed with.
At least she wasn't murdered.
Grew agave plants for all the tequila. That was being made in Mexico.
These are my kind of nuns.
Cool, they,
The only nun I've ever met is a sexy nun.
My great aunt was a nun,
so
and
they
we
would,
lived.
like run these agave farms for local people to make tequila.
They're doing God's work, you know.
Making one margarita at a time.
No, I
This is the
mean,
Lord's margarita.
May I bless this margarita for you? Yes, I can.
Give me my holy water.
Where's Popacone?
my great aunt was a nun, and you know, yes, I did spend like all of my education in Catholic schools until I went to college, and there's a lot of positives, but you know, lots of rules, lots of strict rules. You know, it literally instilled fears into me. You know, everything was just, it made you very fearful. You know, and I guess maybe that's something else that drew me to this movie is this idea of Mother Superior, because I could empathize with Billy. You know, like if you did something wrong, like there's so many rules, everything you do is wrong, and you know they don't explain it to you, and you don't explain anything to you, and you know you have to just pray. You know, you just gotta pray, and maybe everything will be all right.
Stephanie,
So-
after this, I need you to do 10 Hail Marys.
Are we talking?
My mom and my aunts and uncle, they all went to Catholic school, and my aunt is left-handed. So that was a big no-no. So, you know, they tried to teach her to write with her right hand, and every time, and, you know, it was very uncomfortable. She couldn't do it well. And every time she tried to use her left hand, the nun would come and hit her hand with a ruler, like
Yep.
right across her knuckles.
Yep,
So what? First off,
wait, what?
I believe it. Yeah.
why do they care if you're left-handed? But God, you know, God
don't
said
know.
only right-handed people should be worthy to walk this world.
They didn't have any left-handed scissors, so
Our budget does not allow this.
yeah.
The heavenly budget. Calm down. Can I do 8 Bloody Marys instead?
Yeah, you could do 8 Bloody Marys and 3 Hail Satans.
I'm okay with Bloody Marys. So wait, going back to left-handed. So is this a sin?
I don't think it was a sin. I don't know why. Probably just conformity, I'm sure.
Yeah. No. Yes. We
Was Billy left-handed?
I don't know.
Maybe that's the problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're very, very strict rules. So I was in the Girl Scouts, and we had like a beauty day. We got our hair done, we got our nails did over the weekend, and then at my school, like my middle school, you couldn't have your nails painted. So it's one of those things where I was, you know, you're so happy doing this thing that you think is good, but then the next day you go there, and I remember having to like hide my nails and having to show them to like the nun of whatever class I was in, and being literally petrified as a kid, because you're confused, because you're like, wait, I did this with the Girl Scouts, but this is a bad thing. Like it's very confusing, you know?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
yeah, so it's again, like they don't explain it to you, and they have these very strict rules, and yeah, people snap, you know?
So I think what I've learned today is we need a explanation manual for certain
For
things.
nuns.
For nuns, and there'll be none of that and none for you. Okay, all right. Well, let's wrap this up. I have so many thoughts. I know Stephanie, you do. I'm sure Patrick and Holly. So everybody, let's like share our thoughts. Let's like ask questions that are like wrap up this movie. Yeah.
You can start, Josh.
Oh me. Why is there a feel good movie on the first like 30 minutes of it? Number one, it's a great song. I love it. It will be my ringer.
On the warm side of the door.
It's just a very odd song, and a really weird feeling. But no, I agree with Stephanie. It's a good horror movie, and it takes you. It gives you. It's one of those horror movies where you're like, wow, they just answered every single one of my questions about this character. What happened? Obviously, there's a loophole because the killer, we don't know what the hell happened to it. And yeah, and if I was not Billy, I would use a candy cane to kill him. That's all I got. Oh, and gore over holiday music is superb. Yeah.
Holly?
See, I really wish I could remember like when my actual first time watching this was, but it's just, I don't know. I have to just like process that more and like, because I feel like I've had this for so long, and I'm surprised like, it didn't drop. But 80s kills and quirky silliness to it, but I really like those scenes that make me have a lot of sympathy, like hearing the baby crying at the end of the first kill scene, and just thinking of this poor little kid left out in the cold, and everything that happens to Billy, how he was mistreated, and this could have been prevented. And then another random thing that just kind of tugs at my empathy strings is when that deaf pastor died.
Right? Father O'Brien?
So sad. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a really hard kill too, because
but that's another classic scary movie moment where it's like you think you get him, but it's the wrong person.
Yeah, but I felt like that one. Saw it coming. It was still sad because you didn't know it was actually the deaf priest, but definitely saw it coming.
But the fact that he's a deaf priest is kind of ouch. Like in that writing group, they're like, let's make him deaf. I'm like, why?
This is always on my holiday watch list. I watch it every year.
It's a good watch.
So, this movie, I watched this at a time in my life where I was just really getting into film, so I would watch everything and anything. And, I watched it maybe once or twice, but I have not gone back to it. I don't watch it every year. But after rewatching it this time, it did remind me how much I really enjoyed that movie, like how funny some of the parts are. My first thought, though, is I would have prevented this entire movie from happening by just simply, if I was Billy as a kid, I would just stayed in the car. Nothing else would have happened at that point. But, he gets out of the car and he survives, and he goes through this terrible, terrible, traumatizing experience which I think the nuns are almost as bad as, seeing your parents being murdered in front of you the way Mother Superior treated them.
Mother Superior.
So, it's just like, it's just really sad, and then, you have this uplifting, I'm going to get through it moment. I got this great job. And then you're asked to be Santa, and that's it. You're done. You start killing people. Yeah. And at that point, that's when it really, to me, becomes so fun. That's what I really enjoy the movie, is this whole killing spree he goes on. from just him every time he kills someone. Punish. It's just so funny to me. So, I will be watching this movie almost every Christmas now because of that.
Yes. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
I won't watch the second, third, or fourth, or fifth.
Oh,
The second is so good.
I'm a big stickler
I've been
about.
looking at their IMDb ratings, and
No, I'm a big stickler about starting at the first and going all the way through because that's how you really can tell if you've seen the whole series. It is painful for multiple series, but it's worth it. What about you, Steph?
Well, like I said, this is a scary movie that I think actually makes sense. All other scary movies have have some silliness to it. Not saying this doesn't have silliness, but I mean this has tons of silliness. But this is honestly, I wish I was a psychology major because I would love to write a paper on this with intelligent commentary. Yeah, I mean, here and this obviously, this hits home for me, and it's definitely like a scary movie that I saw as a young child, and makes all the sense in the world. I guess I this is like maybe I love this much because I can actually relate to it. It's not just like, oh, I can be like a bystander and just watch and enjoy it. Where this one is like, yeah, Billy, I feel you. I feel you so hard in this. And it's nice to watch. And it's nice to have those moments where you're like, maybe, it is nice on the warm side of the door, Well,
Stephanie did not kill anybody during Christmas. So.
I wish they could link Black Christmas and this movie together because for some
oh
reason,
my gosh.
Billy
Let's make
is
a
a very
mashup.
common
So the thing
holiday
is,
killer name.
do you think that they named, I don't think anybody who was involved in this movie other than like maybe some, I don't know if like Paul Kami or what, well, the writers, but the crazy person making the obscene phone calls in Black Christmas was Billy, like Billy, this killer is Billy in Silent Night, Deadly Night. So yeah, Billy is a very popular.
Wait, let me ask you a
serial
question.
killer name.
I have a question. If you had to change, like add a scene or like make a change to the scene, what scene would you do? Or what would you add to it to make it more your movie?
Easily, Billy that steals the sled. I would add him in at every kill scene, going.
What about you, Ollie?
I would love to see Mother Superior, get her comeuppance.
Oh,
Spoiler alert! She does in part 2.
This one.
But we want to fast forward to number 1 and kill her off quick. Wait, does she have a daughter named Baby Superior?
That would be a really good rap name, though.
Baby Superior?
Yeah.
That's totally me. I only got 3 songs, guys. You know what? I would add more like candy canes and like Christmas things to kill. Like, why didn't Rudolph get a kill? Like, come on. No, come on.
Oh, I know. We gotta. Okay, so to rippity wrap this gift present in half, with an axe.
No comic paper wrapping.
Tie it around a candy cane 3 times. Clap your hands. Rating this movie. How many? I'm gonna.
Hang on. We got candy canes. We got sleighs. We got Santas. We got elves.
We got
knives and chests. I mean, what do we rate? What system are we rating this?
Do we rate this on like a Bloody Marys and Hail Satans?
Or how many sleighs? How many kills? I mean, how many knives to the chest?
Josh, I think we should give you your candy canes.
Candy canes.
Right.
Candy canes for the win.
Right?
All right. How many candy canes, Holly?
Out of 5,
Yeah.
5, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, 10 million.
I would give this a 3.5.
Ooh. All right.
Couple sentences explaining the
Okay.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. I really enjoy the kills. They're very memorable. I don't get bored with any of them, and I do like, Stephanie, how you brought up that you get to see the progression of how the killer became who he is rather than the reverse, and I really enjoy that because I think it lends a lot of sympathy to the character and it's grounded in some realism, so it's easily relatable.
All right.
I agree. I'm going to give it 3 full candy canes and a half candy cane that's, licked to that very sharp point to murder someone.
3.9.
And mainly because I think it's so funny when he kills someone, just because all he says is punish. And the bully that steals the sled. They steal the show for me. That's why I'm giving it 3.5. It will never get old. Never.
I'm gonna give this 5 candy canes because I love this movie. It holds a special near and dear spot in my heart. Again, it's the most realistic scary movie I've ever seen. I think that, yeah, I agree with Holly. Like, I have never been bored watching this. There's always something interesting. I think the transitions are great. I think as a film, it's very nice, I mean, I'm not a film major. I can appreciate certain things about stuff. I don't notice things, but it's not like your go-to, like, oh, there's this like go-to like slasher film that does cheesy things. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's tons of cheese. It's overall very satisfying 80s slasher with some, that's grounded, to quote Holly, that's grounded in realism. It's and so many good, yeah. I mean, Punish, like, honestly, all my notifications, my ringtone, when it's like, honestly, my phone is on vibrate. If my phone's not on vibrate, you're gonna hear garbage day. Anytime I get work emails, it's him saying punish. And then my ringtone is the scene where he's putting the teenage girl into some ambers, saying punish, punish, punish. So, and any other notifications, I'm gonna re-update. So it is the because
So
yeah, Josh.
I'm gonna go with 3.5 as well. 3.5 candy canes. Partially, I still feel like this movie lacks some things. I think I agree with Steph. I agree with Holly and Pat and you, Patrick. I think they did a really good job of painting a killer and painting this like psychopath, this person that turns into a psychopath. That's to say. I also feel that even though the weird transitions in between, I think they're really good. I think they could have used a little bit of work. But other than that, I love that they have, their own, music that was created. The director, did the best that he could. And even the actor, there was even like, I can't do that. I did that. I did that a lot. But other than that, hey, Christmas killing, I'm pretty sure they sound like they go hand in hand. And it worked out really well. And it's a good movie to watch every Christmas now. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this movie every Christmas with a candy cane. and an axe. That's it.
So
Candy canes and oxes. We should make a Christmas song about candy canes and oxes.
well, I guess that's that then. And to end it,
No.
The warm side